Joining us to discuss this and more is Melanie Collette. She's from Project 21 from the National Center for Public Policy Research. Melanie Collette, hello there. How are you? Welcome to State of the Nation. It's good to have you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, very happy to have you. DC has always been a little bit of a sketchy city, especially if you get, kind of away from the mall and that area. But it seems to be getting a lot worse. What's going on in DC? Really, I can ask you about this about just about any major city, but DC is our capital. We should take some pride in DC, and there seems to be no political will to fight any of this. What's going on, do you think?
I'm certainly certain that it is the policies that that particular city has in place that do not prosecute criminals to the fullest extent of the law, do not hold teenagers who are running rampant around the city, doing all kinds of things from violent carjackings to theft. It's the policies that are in place that are the problem. If you have leniency, listen, I'm a former high school teacher. I can tell you about teenagers. If you give them an inch, they're going to take 10 miles in this day and age. So if you don't have consequences for these crimes in place, then it is going to be a problem. And the best time to teach these kids that lesson is when they're younger, not when they're escalating and committing more crimes and end up in jail. And then they'll be complaining about that. That will somehow be the right's fault for being too hard on crime. So, I really strongly believe that it's because they are not holding criminals accountable, or they're letting them right out to commit more crime. I feel like if you commit a crime within a month of getting arrested, another one, like, come on, can't we say at that point you haven't learned your lesson and lock that person up? But that's not what we're doing. At least that's not what's going on in DC for sure.
Well, it's pretty shocking, I mean, you would think all of the, grand, important, elite people up there on Capitol Hill that work here would be concerned about this. Maybe not themselves. Maybe they've got bodyguards and armored cars and nice places to go and all that. But don't you people have children of your own? Don't you people care what message you're sending to the nation in its own capital? I mean, we literally have, what was that, a senator or a congressperson that was carjacked in the last couple months? So,
yes. An FBI agent, a female FBI agent, same thing. Ridiculous. And I made the very same argument to a resident of DC, mind you. We were actually talking about the border crisis, but same argument. I said, it's only that many criminals until it's your relative, until it's your mother, your daughter, your brother. Because, they had the dumb argument that we have criminals here too. It's like, why would we want more criminals then? Like, that doesn't make sense. But okay, I don't get the logic. But, if those kids, and they say the same thing about, the people who are committing crimes in DC, getting back to our original point that, we can't punish them. Why don't they care about their families? Why don't they? Because I imagine that they have to operate in this world as well.
I think what a lot of this is pandering to a far left political base that is wrapped up in identity politics. I mean, here's what strikes me, Melanie, is that here we had in New York City. I know you're a Jersey resident, so am I. But in New York City back in the day, Rudy Giuliani came into New York. And he did basically what he called the broken window policy. If you break a window, we're going to punish you. And he was very tight about it. And guess what? He cleaned New York up. It went from one of the most dangerous cities in the nation to a shining city on the hill. It was the safest big city in the country. And what are they trying to do to Giuliani right now? They're trying to put him in jail. I got to think that this party and this ideology is just flat out evil. I mean, they're not helping the black community. I mean, we say, most prosecutions are young black males. Well, you know what? If you don't arrest these young black males, they're going to kill other young black males or they're going to carjack or whatever. And it's not just black, white or whatever. I'm sick of this garbage. They need to enforce the law, right?
Right. Enforce the law no matter who is committing the crime. That's the way I see it. Why does it matter who's committing the crime? And the part that really just bothers me so much is that, they seem to think that the victims go through nothing. Do you think it is not traumatizing to get carjacked at gunpoint? Who's paying for it? Is the government paying for it? The therapy that person's going to need, the anxiety, the depression, all of those things. Just because you don't get physically harmed doesn't mean you're not harmed by these crimes. And it's, DC is a predominantly Black city, right? 55% or something like that, Black, African Americans in DC. If you care about them so much, why don't you care about the damage that's being done to them by being victims of crime? Where are the victims advocates? Where are the people saying it's not fair to the victims? It's not fair when I visit DC, which I'm visiting this weekend, as a matter of fact, that I have to have my head on a swivel. Why? That's not fair to me as a visitor. Same thing with New York. I'm in New York quite often. Head on a swivel the entire time because of the level of crime.
And it's very difficult.
Fair to me. Why would I want to come there?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Melanie. I'm just getting excited because of what you're saying. Because on top of that, when you have that feeling, I live in Texas and I feel that way every day because of what I do. And I live in Texas, so I can carry a gun, I can carry a shotgun, I can carry a samurai sword because I live in Texas. In Washington, D.C., it's very difficult to have any sort of tools to defend yourself with in a place like that when you look at the way the laws work there. Let me address that after this brief headline here. Melanie Collette is our guest, a Project 21 ambassador. We're big fans of Project 21. We always love these conversations. Melanie, hold the line. We got a headline inbound. This is State of the Nation on today's News Talk, TNT Radio.